All right, Laura, thank you so much for coming on today and sharing your experience here. I know you're incredibly busy with the 4 kids and training and having all those things going on right now. I'll let you kind of talk into your background, what's going on with you currently in life and what you're working on. And you can just tell us how fear relates to you. That was the topic that I wanted to bring you on for, just because like what you do and the sport that you're in is completely tied to fear. But the mindset that you have to have in order to handle that is so important to where we are right now as a country, as a world, and everything, as we're looking at this virus right now. And we're also like at a point where we're going to probably start integrating back into normal life, and we obviously can't live like hermits forever, and we got to get back out there and stuff. So the mindset is going to be really important as we move forward into these next few weeks, these next few months, and all that stuff. And so fear is going to be on the front of everybody's mind. I think, when we hear that quote from that the only thing to fear is fear itself. Really wanted to take a dive in on that and let you talk about that. But first, why don't you tell us a little bit about your background? And I mean, most people know you and most people know your background, but just give us a little bit of background, kind of like where you come from and where you're at right now, because I'm really interested in that too.
So I'm a 3-time Olympian in platform diving. So I'm the crazy lady who jumps off the 3-story building and, tries to go in the water without a splash after doing a whole bunch of flips and stuff. So I went to 2000, 2004, and 2008, and then I retired. And we now have 4 kids. And at the 2012 and 2016 games, kind of when I was retired, I actually worked with NBC. So I still got to go to the Olympics and watch everything and kind of feel like I was part of it, which was neat, but as a reporter instead. And I decided after watching Rio that I was ready to get back in and give it another go. And so the last 4 years, I've been kind of pursuing a 4th Olympic Games, so it's been full of a lot of ups and downs. But right now, kind of with everybody else, I'm quarantined in my home and trying to flip in the backyard and not land on my kids, and trying to make all the homeschooling as well as getting all my work done at the same time. So it's a little crazy, but it's been kind of a fun break, I guess, in a way.
Okay, yeah. So you kind of wanted to go back into it, and what decision or what led up to that decision that made you think like, I want to do this again? What is it that I want to tell my kids, or what is it that is gonna obviously, it was, let's see, the 2000 games was when you want to go.
When I won. Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
here we are 20 years later, and now you're training again. And so lead us up to that a little bit.
Yeah, so it's not a simple answer. When I retired in 2008 because I was 30 and I was really ready to start a family. But it wasn't that I just didn't want to do my sport anymore. I love diving. It's just, I feel like I was made for it. It's something that just lights me up inside. But I really wanted to be a mom, and I was ready for that. And so, I took a step back, and it was always kind of in the back of my mind, like maybe I'll try it again, maybe I'll just see. But we had a biological child, and we went to China and brought one home, our first adoption, and then we started another adoption and found out I was pregnant. So it kind of just, there was never a time, there was never a break. We kind of just added to our family really quickly. But in 2016, I brought all my kids to the pool just to say hi to my coach one day, just to visit. And he's like, why don't you get in and play? Like, surely there's a day they're all in preschool or something. And so I was, all right, on Mondays for like 4 hours, I have a break. So I went on Monday and kind of put a suit on, which I wasn't really excited about after being out of a swimsuit for so long. That did not feel really good to be like the fat old lady, like coming back to play in the water. I felt kind of weird, but I really wanted to try it. And so I did. And I mean, the minute I hit the water, it just felt like home again, and I just kept coming back for like an hour a week, every Monday for a while. But things started to come back kind of quickly. And so I started thinking about it, like, could I really do this? Would it really be possible? And at one point I asked my coach, like, would I be crazy to try this again? And I mean, he didn't even hesitate a second and said no. And so after Rio, my husband and I kind of talked and we said, okay, well, if we're going to do it, like, let's try this fall, like go in full blast, and let's just see if it's a possibility. And by January of 2017, I'd gotten all my dives off 10 meters. So we're like, okay, I guess we can give this a whirl.
So what, in terms of fear, like, and kind of as we're talking about that topic, what were you afraid of in making that decision when you committed? And like, what was it like? What was your fear mindset in that? You know, obviously that's kind of, you know, when you're making a dive, I can only imagine standing 3 stories up, and then you're not even thinking about all the things that can go wrong. I mean, because like you could land
If you
incorrect.
do, that's a problem.
Yes. And so, but what you're thinking about is how you're going to perform the dive. So you've really shifted like all the fear to the side, and then you're just performing on what you need to do. So so with that kind of mindset, how did that play into like, okay, I'm going to go back for my 4th Olympics?
Well, it's interesting because I've been through, fear is really big in my sport. Obviously, when you're standing 33 feet up in the air and, you know, if just a little thing goes wrong, it could have a really severe impact. You know, fear is huge, especially on platform. And so I've dealt with that my whole life. I've gotten lost in the air. I've taken really bad hits. And I've kind of always felt like that was where my fear really kind of, I guess, hovered, was more in the fear of getting hurt or of not knowing where I was. But now coming back, I mean, I know my dives. I can take a hit off 10 meter. Like, it doesn't feel good, but I know I'll be okay. But getting back into it, all those questions, and that, like, mom guilt, that was the biggest one. Probably was just the mom guilt. Like, I feel so selfish doing this thing. Why am I doing it? It's not like I'm getting paid to do it. Like Olympians, like, despite what most people may believe, like, most of us are paying money to do this. We're not getting paid anything. And if maybe only the really top handful can get, you know, really good sponsorships and stuff. So it's a tough fight to make this a way of life, you know. But so coming back, like, thinking of all those things, like, I was my husband decided to take a part-time job instead of going back to work full-time so he could watch our kids, because we wouldn't be able to afford to put them in daycare, or if they were in daycare, like, we'd never see them. And so, and I felt guilty putting them in daycare if I was just doing this thing for me and not getting paid. So there were all of those things. And then I thought, well, what are people going to think of me? You know, what are they going to say? They're going to say, oh, she's old. What is she doing? She's this has-been. So my fears, a lot of it, I think, was in the fear of what people were going to think of me and of what I was doing to my kids, and was this right? So it was a totally different scenario and a totally different fear than I had ever kind of dealt with or handled before, for sure.
And so on the flip side of that, you had all the fear, but what was the fear if you didn't do it?
The one thing that resounds with me, and it's always been like that, because going into 2000, I actually broke my foot in 3 places, like 3 months before the Olympic trials, and we didn't know how we were going to do that. But my biggest concern was, in 5 years, I didn't want to look back and say, what if? You know, I'd rather go up there, fail miserably, and at least know, than always wondering what if and having that deep regret. And so for me, that's a worse feeling, a worse potential feeling than trying and failing, as scary as that might be. And that's kind of how this felt too. When it started, I was like, I just felt very led to do this. My husband and I were praying about it. You know, we were making all the decisions together, and God just kept opening doors. And we felt very convinced that, like, this is obviously the path I need to go down, scary as it is. But if this is what I need to do, I can't shrink away and then have this whole life of regret and wondering what could have been.
Yeah, I that resonates with me when I think about fears, because like, it's not just of doing an action, it's also the fear of doing nothing. And and if you really have that pull or that desire where it's calling you and all that, you need to address that and say, well, what is the fear that's holding me back from doing this? And I think, you know, as we maybe start to integrate into our new lives, we have to be looking at that as well. And there's a balance between, and you probably know this better than most anybody, but there's a balance between like safety and having a good fear. And how do you look at that? So like with your background, how do you look at, you know, obviously, you know, you just don't want to go into a large crowd right now, and you know, be around people and stuff like that. but you know, there is some things that you could probably incorporate into your life that aren't going to put you at significant risk. So how do you balance that safety and fear and all that?
That's a really good question, because fear can be really good. It can be really helpful when it can keep you safe. Because standing on a 10 meter, you know, is not maybe the safest thing in the world to do. So there's the point of which it's like a healthy respect. So when I'm standing on 10 meters, I have a very healthy respect for the waterway down there, for the platform I'm jumping off of, because if I don't and I get way too comfortable, I can get close to that platform. I can hit my head. I can hurt myself really badly. And that's just how kind of life is too. And this is one reason I love sports, and I love talking about my sport too, is it's such a black and white way for us to be able to see a very gray world. You can take these lessons you learn in sport and translate it really easily into life. And so I love that about sports, and using my sport as an analogy, because it helps me understand everyday life outside of the pool too. But you know, like you mentioned today, going out, like, we know it's not smart to go out in a large group of people and be really close together, because you can spread a virus. That's not smart. So we need to keep that healthy fear, respect that, and not do those things that are going to compromise us or somebody that we love. But if you're looking at the overall virus and how it's impacting, and how most of the symptoms are either asymptomatic or very mild, like, we know the vast majority of people are fine and are healing well. So we shouldn't have this overwhelming fear of, I'm going to get this and I'm going to die. You know, some people are, and it's very, very unfortunate. And there's certain situations, if you are immunocompromised or you're in that age bracket, you also need to be smart and respect those kind of boundaries. But the vast majority of us need to know that this is not always a life-threatening illness, that a lot of times it's very, very mild, and that just worrying about it and the concern of it is not going to help you get it or not get it. Being fearful of it is not going to stop the virus from moving. So we need to recognize that the fear itself is not the thing that dictates what the virus is going to do, or it shouldn't dictate what we do. You can have that healthy respect and fear where to the point of where it's helping you make wise decisions. But if it is absolutely paralyzing you and not letting you move forward, or it's making decisions for you, then that's a problem.
Yeah, I totally get that. And I think as we move forward, there's going to be a balance that's going to have to be struck. And it's going to be, how much do you go out and expose yourself, and then how much do you stay at home? And obviously you don't want to be on the extreme of either one of those. And and at the same time, we want somebody to make all the decisions for us, but there's going to be a point when the decision is going to come up to you, and you're going to have to make that. So balancing that out, and that fear, and understanding, well, what am I afraid of? What are the actual risks here? And can I mitigate all those risks, and you know, perform those, and make sure that I'm not putting myself at this excessive risk, and doing those things that could expose me to it. But then in the same token of it, you got to look at it, the whole picture is like, okay, you know, where is my health right now, and where do I fit in that paradigm, and do I need to take that extreme risk by, you know, understanding that? Well, I mean, 2 weeks of not feeling good, or the rest of your life of living and doing stuff and going out and stuff, is probably worth it, right? And so I think that's a good perspective that you have there on that. So so what kind of mindset and like things are you going to take away from this experience? Obviously this is new to everybody. And what has this shown you, and what has it shown you about like people's nature and your own discovery in life and all that? What have you learned from it?
Oh, so many things. Where do I even begin? I think, you know, at the onset of this, I didn't think it was as big of a deal as it was, until all of a sudden everything was getting shut down. And I initially thought it was unnecessary, because all the reports I had heard were so mild. You know, I didn't understand where it was going. So, you know, I went and started researching and looking more deeper into things. But there's that point of where you want to get information, you want to learn things, but then you leave the news on 24 hours a day, and all of a sudden you are just terrified, and you think the world is going to implode on itself in the next 24 hours. And that's just not true. So there's trying to find striking that like healthy balance of like, I need to know, I need to get the information and the knowledge, but I also need to like take a step back, take a deep breath, and like live my life, because life is still going on, you know, despite all the fear and everything on the TV. Like real life is still happening around us, even though we may not be going out as much. Like there's still life. I still have 4 children I need to take care of, and I need to keep it together for my 4 kids. So it was kind of working through things, talking to friends about it, talking to my husband about it, like not just, you know, if I'm feeling really insecure about what is going on, I need to talk to people. I need to find out more, because I feel like sometimes the things you see on the news, you're only seeing one part of the story. And so you need to like start researching and learning other parts of the story too. So finding kind of, you know, all the sides and things like that. And as we've talked about too, like there's gonna be a point where we need to start coming out into the world again. And that's going to be weird, because now we've been like in our homes for a month, and it's this really strange kind of new life we've been living, and we have to start integrating back into the old world. So I think talking through that with your friends, figuring out like what you want to do together, maybe as a group, because then sometimes you don't feel like there's that pressure that you're having to make this decision. You don't know if it's right and you're really concerned. I think bouncing those ideas off of people that you trust and that you, you know, can kind of be vulnerable and talk about the things that scare you. I think that's really important. So if you keep it inside, it's just going to kind of explode in a weird way. So you definitely need to talk to people.
Yeah, I totally agree with that too, as far as information overload. And it's kind of a funny topic because I talk so much about it with your husband. is intermittent fasting, right? And so you can also intermittent fast your media and your consumption.
Mm-hmm.
So what I did was, like, in the beginning, I was like many people, I was just absorbing it and just like getting as much as I could. It was like you're watching a tidal wave, right? And then as time went on, I started to realize, I was like, this is affecting my life. It's affecting my relationship with my family. It's affecting like so many things, my sleep. You know, I was just like reading and reading and reading. And so it was a point where I go, okay, you know, I can only take so much of this, and like, I'm going to consume my media like at this time. I didn't want to do it before bed. That was actually the worst time. And then first thing in the morning too. So I was like, in the afternoon was like when I was consuming my media, just to see what was going on. And I saw that really helped a lot with how much, you know, it was affecting me and stuff. So that's a good point too that you shared there. So
I
yeah.
like looking at it that way, of the intermittent fasting. That's clever. I like that.
Right. Yeah. Intermittent faster media. And right now there's just, it's so much. I mean, you just like conspiracy theories, all kinds of stuff
Oh yeah.
out there. You could just spend so much time, and all of it's
you get sucked in. Yeah.
All fascinating, and it plays on your fears, right? So it's like, well, somebody out there controlling everything and taking over the world, or what is it, you know? And so they're playing on your fears. So you have to rein them in, and you have to say, okay, what is it I'm scared of? And, you know, what am I doing? But on the other side of this has just been an incredible time to like be connected with your family and just be able to focus on things that you haven't before. So before I ask you some other questions, I want to just ask you real quick, what has been your favorite thing that has come out of this that you don't want to lose as we go forward and integrate back into life?
Well, I think it's been that family connection, because you know, I was gunning for an Olympics this summer, and I was working really hard, and I was starting, like, my kids are in school all day, and then I was going into work out again in the afternoons. I wasn't seeing them as much, and so it's been really sweet to have this time with them, and they're actually seeing me work out, where before they were like, why are you going to diving? Why don't you just stay home and play with me? But now they're with me when I'm doing these things, and they're seeing how hard I work, and they're out there going, Mommy, you're doing a great job, as they're building Legos when I am working out and sweating, you know, and all this stuff. And so, and they're coaching me on my flips. So it's been kind of cool for them to actually get to see what I do, and to see like that it takes all this stuff every day and consistency, and we're talking through that. And so that's been huge for me, just to be able to connect to them on that level, and they can really see what I'm doing, and they're kind of going through it with me. So that's going to be kind of a hard thing as I start doing that again outside of the house, you know, but it's kind of encouraging to me, like maybe at least on the weekends, maybe we can do like a Saturday together, or we can do something else together. Like we've been going on bike rides, and the weather's been beautiful here. We've been really fortunate to be outside a lot and just playing, and it's been kind of a wonderful connection that way. But But I think also like anytime we have challenges, like anytime we face big obstacles, I think there's always an opportunity in it. We just have to be willing to find it. And I think there's some really cool things. As hard as this has been on people in so many different ways, I think there's some beautiful things that are going to come out of it, on maybe people using technology differently, maybe schools working a little bit differently with the children, maybe parents being more involved in what their kids are doing at school, like whatever it is. I think there's going to be some beautiful things coming from this situation as well.
Yeah, I totally agree with that mindset. I think in the beginning it was, the world's coming to an end, but then you start to look at it and you're like, wow, the world will always be different now. And it might be some really good things and way we approach problems and the way we look at the world. And I'm with you on that family time. It's just been incredible. It's been,
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it's crazy. You're kind of like watching, I mean, obviously from a business perspective, on our business, you're like, if this was happening and it was just regular business, like I'd be devastated, right? But at the same time, it's like you're just really able to connect with your family and be part of just their lives, and I've almost in some ways never been happier, so
And I think that's okay, and it's okay to be happy in a weird time like this. It's okay to find the good things in the bad situation, because they're always there. You just have to be willing to find them and hang on to them.
Right. So you've been with us for, I want to say almost a year now. Maybe last summer is when you started coming with.
Yeah, I think that's about right.
So here we are in April. What has been the biggest impact that recovery has made on your training and your ability to reach new levels and all of that, and so as you've been coming to cryo recovery / Huemn now, and what have you enjoyed, and how's it helped you?
Well, obviously what I do is really hard on the body. I mean, we hit the water at about 30. Everybody thinks the water, it's so easy just to have the water, but you hit it 35 miles an hour, so it doesn't feel really good. It can feel like a cement wall sometimes. So recovery is definitely important. But I also had a 2-level neck fusion last year that I spent all of 2019 recovering from. So being able to come in to do the cryo chamber, to kind of help with the inflammation, to do the light bed, I think just that helping me get more range of motion. Like, I think it just helped my inflammation so much to get me back up there. And I was back up on 10 meter at the end of December, kind of starting again for this year. And so I think it really kind of helped me get back into the swing of things. And it's helped me in between training sessions, just kind of be able to kind of, after I'm sore, like recover and be able to do another session later that week up on the platform, which I was struggling with before and I'm getting better at now. And we even started incorporating the new fit as well, since I have some nerve issues in my arm that I've had from way before the fusion. It was part of the reason that we found out I needed a fusion. And so that's been helping my arm actually get stronger and be able to take more impacts well. And so it's been a beautiful thing. I'm definitely going to be doing it for the next year, gunning into Tokyo 2021 now. I think they're still calling it 2020, but it's in 2021. So I'm kind of excited to have a full year of actually being up on the platform, using all this new recovery, because at 42, I don't like saying my age, but yes, I'm 42 and I'm still in really good shape, but I can't work out the same amount of hours. I can physically do it, but then I'm dead afterward, and I have to focus more on recovery, and doing that has helped me, I think, maintain and even like starting to improve again, which I haven't seen in a long time. So I'm been really excited about that.
Right. Yeah. To me, I'm with you on that recovery and getting older. I don't know where I'd be without it. It's so critical to so many aspects of life, and keeping the inflammation tamped down. And so I agree with you there. So you said, just give us a little bit of background. They postponed the Olympics, right? And so what does that mean for you and your trials and all that? How will it all play out from here? Because some people may not know exactly what the inside of an Olympian looks like when they've just got postponed, a year, which has never happened, right?
Yeah, it's never happened before. They've canceled a few Olympic Games due to like World War I and World War II, and then there were boycotts in like 1980 and 84, but it's the first time it's ever been postponed. So we're all kind of like, okay, what do we do? And they did come back and make the date, so it's almost the exact same time next year, which is good. So now we have a time, we can start trying to plan as we get things kind of, as the world starts kind of rolling again. But it's hard because our trials were moved. It hasn't been set yet. I'm assuming it will still be in June of next year. I think they'll probably plan a lot of things very similarly to what they did this year, just moving it to next year. But there were supposed to be World Championships next year and other World Series meets and things that are now having to be moved. And so there's a lot of juggling and shuffling as they change these things around. So it's kind of hard. I was actually talking to a fencer friend of mine who'd actually qualified already for the Tokyo Games. And then literally the week after she qualified, she found out like they're not having it. And so it's just hard right now to plan when we don't have any meets on the calendar. Like there's nothing, so we don't really know what we're planning for. So, and for an Olympian, this is really hard because we live our life by a quad. You know, every 4 years, like we have this plan, and usually every year there's like a world championships or some big world meet that you're gunning for in between those 4 years. And so to not have anything on the calendar right now is really weird. And we can kind of guess, but I mean, we're still just training at home right now. So it's hard, but I'm trying not to even like go there. And I think I'm in a better place maybe than some athletes because I've been through it so many times, and I've also been out of it for a while. Like I missed 2 Olympic Games where I wasn't competing. You know, I had a neck surgery. I was out for almost a year. So I get what being out of it is like, and I'm trying to just take a moment to not worry about when the next meet is, but just focus on staying in shape, kind of cross-training my brain and work on like video study, focus on other mental skills that I can strengthen right now, you know, other drills that I can do that will help me in this way, really kind of get my body recovered and ready to go for when we do kind of, you know, get back into the swing of things. We're probably going to hit it pretty hard. So yeah, just trying to get ready for all that without kind of worrying about what this plan is that we don't have because we can't make it right now. Because it's very unsettling to a lot of people, especially to me. I'm a planner, so it's a little weird.
I can only imagine, you know, because there's a build up to it, right? There's a training that you go and then you go boom. But I'm sure they know
you want to peak at the right time. Yeah.
Hey, show up in Chicago next week. You got your trials. I'm sure they'll give you at least a little bit of a heads up. But yeah,
let's hope so.
Yeah. So yeah, but yeah, what? Obviously, you have a program that you work with athletes and clients and things like that, and you have a 5-day challenge that I actually am on day 4 of right now. It's a fear challenge, and each day you send out a video and a task to do, and that is all related to fear. And tell us a little bit more about that, and then, you know, kind of your program that you have.
Yeah, the 5-day fear challenge, it's called Conquer Your Fear, and it's set up to be super simple and doable. It's 5 days long. It's literally less than 10 minutes a day. I think the videos are like 3.5 minutes long. The task should only take you a few minutes. But I mean, it really changes your mindset around fear. It changes the way you look at fear, the way you react to fear, the way you handle fear. And, you know, in 5 days, you'll learn all the skills that you need, but you have to be able to implement them, obviously, over and over again. But they're such simple skills. If you do them several times, like if you do the little 5-day challenge a couple times, you don't have to write down the tasks anymore. You start to figure out how to do it automatically in your head. And these are things that I've learned how to do, you know, throughout my career. And they're things that now I can recognize when a fear comes in, and I know how to handle it and to dissolve it and to walk past it. So these are like the really basic things, but it will change your mindset. And just changing your mind changes like your physical reaction to things. It changes the way you respond to things, which can change everything. I know it sounds so simple, but it's so true. I mean, after I come back to when I broke my foot before the Olympic trials in 2000, I broke it in 3 places. We had 3 months to go before the Olympic trials, and I was out of the water for 10 weeks. So I only had 2 weeks in the water before the Olympic trials. But during that time, I implemented all these other mental skills. We did visualization. I worked on fear. I worked on all of these things during that time. And I came back, I got my dives off in 3 days. I won the trials by 40 points and went on to win an Olympic gold medal that year. And I can tell you, if I hadn't broken my foot, I probably would have made the team, but I would not have been standing on the top of the podium because I wasn't mentally strong enough until I went through all of that. So changing your mindset and programming your mind has a very, very physical reaction, you know, both like if you're doing for sports training, but also if you're doing things like fear and just the way you're talking to yourself, it will change the way you think. It changes the wiring in your brain, but you have to be consistent on doing these things. So the 5-day challenge is a great way to step in, get your feet wet, super simple and easy, that can really like get you on the right path to changing your mindset.
Yeah, I love that because basically you're getting into the mindset of somebody, that won a gold medal. And so like taking the techniques that you used and were able to achieve a gold medal and is just phenomenal. I mean, and this is free, right? You go on
Yeah.
and you can sign up, and then you send the emails each day, and then you watch the video. And I've got my notes here, and you take down the notes. And like you said, I mean, maybe if you count the time with the notes, 10 minutes, you're done, right? And so this is a perfect opportunity to get your fears under control and to start thinking about that and start putting the piece together. So how does someone find out about your program? And we'll obviously link to it. So just tell us how to connect with you.
Okay, well, and so the program, well, I'll just mention also the program. I do have a full online course for athletes, and it's really all about mental skills. It's called Confident Competitor. And I put this together last year when I knew I was going to have the surgery. I knew I was going to be out for a long time. And so I knew, because I'd been through this with my foot, that this is a perfect time to focus on all the mental skills and the things that I learned. So I started thinking back through all my meets, all the things that I had learned, and I started just putting all this information together. And since I was doing that on my own already, I had all the information. So I just started organizing it and figured I need to put this together for other people, because people don't know this. I had to acquire it over so many years, talking to so many different people, going through so many situations. Like, why don't I put this in a program where other people can learn this? Because a lot of coaches don't know how to teach that either. So I now have an online program called Confident Competitor, where you can learn all of those mental skills, from goal setting to moving past failure, to handling fear, to visualization, to the way you talk to yourself, being present in the moment. All of those things kind of wrapped into one awesome course. And I'm offering at half price right now too, with all of this going on. So there's a coupon code and all that. If you go to laurawilkinson.com/learn, you can find the Fear Challenge and the course all right there for you.
Okay. And you'll give us that code to put in there for the discount, I guess?
Yes, definitely. It's also on the page that it links to. But yeah, the code is stay home. So it's really easy. Yeah. Since we're staying home, I thought that was perfect. Perfect time to work on this. I mean, if you have extra time at home right now, this is the perfect time to start incorporating those things into your routine while you have this extra time. It's awesome.
And I think I really want to just say, this isn't just for athletes. This is for anybody who wants to take their mindset and change the external environment. You change the internal environment, the external environment will follow. So it doesn't have to just be for athletes, but obviously it helps with athletics, because everybody knows that it starts with the mind, and you have to have that under control too. So all right, well, this has been wonderful. I just again want to thank you for your time and your knowledge and everything that you brought today. I think this is just an incredible time to share your knowledge, and I really am grateful that you did that today and can help the community out and get it out to other people. And just thank you for being part of the team here and coming in and recovering with us and all that. So yeah.
Well, thanks for having me on. I love talking about this stuff. It's totally my jam. And yeah, thank you for keeping me in one piece so I can get back out there in another year at 43 and hopefully show those little young studs who's boss.
You're going to do awesome. You're going to do awesome. And we look forward to supporting you through that and the rest of the training as you go forward in that. And it's going to be exciting. And I think when, we were looking at closing our doors for a little bit to get things situated and safe in our environment, I was thinking at that point, I'm like, when this is past, like the community and just like, I mean, you're going to see this with the Olympics. I mean, just the connectedness that everybody's going to have is just going to be off the charts. And it's the first time in ever that I think the world's had one common denominator, one common enemy. And I think like we're all realizing we're all human, right? And we're all part of the same race no matter what, so.
Exactly. And hopefully at the Olympics next year, we can all celebrate that we overcame this thing together. That would be really, really special.
Right. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you. And
Awesome.
we will be seeing you soon and talking to you soon.
Awesome. Thanks, Bill.
All right. Take care.
Mhm.